What is going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Ethereum Classic. I want to go over some of the current data points, talk on what's really been influencing ETC, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So I'm going to tail off the video with some technical analysis. But starting off though, it is up 4.94%. So fairly good. A lot of volume, 7.58 million. And that's within the last 24 hours. 3.53 billion is the market cap. And so a couple of things to take away. Even though it's pulled back quite considerably from its highs of around $32, Bitcoin, the whole ETF, a lot of people taking profits, has pulled back quite considerably. But regardless, in ETC's case, the volume has still stuck around. So overall, that's kind of a good thing, right? Because that's what I've said in the past is just you need something to allure people and bring more awareness to cryptocurrency. And you need more inflow of capital, because a lot of people want to see what happened in 2021 repeat itself. But back in 2021, stimulus checks were coming out, a lot more money and capital was getting pumped into the market. So right now, I feel like it's kind of back in the day in 2022, not necessarily during the good old days essentially, but a lot of people are now rotating capital back into the crypto market over the weekends. Ever since the whole ETF got rubber stamped and approved, you have noticed that on the weekends, generally ETC and other cryptocurrencies do fairly well. So I don't know if that is going to continue and repeat itself, but that's just something interesting that I did notice. Aside from that, I always like to bring this up. Number of merchants accepting ETC as a form of payment is currently at 1,235. Still continues to grow every single month. And I remember covering ETC a long time ago, even when it only had, I think it was 800 merchants. So it has been having some pretty good growth, slow and steady growth, but regardless, still some fairly good growth. Aside from that though, the hash rate has still been maintaining pretty high levels, currently at 131, and obviously I don't really anticipate it kind of dropping to these levels ever again, or I don't think it's even possible probably at this stage. But definitely I think that's a good thing. Miners still are very much focused on ETC, and aside from that though, it's fallen a couple points. So when I last covered it, it was around 21, I believe, on the verge of kind of breaking a little bit lower than that. It is currently ranked number 24 based on market cap, and it does have a lot of good opportunity to go up. As I said, especially on weekends, ETC and cryptocurrencies are going to get more and more attention. But with this upcoming week, there is going to be a Fed decision. And I feel like cryptocurrency might continue to be stagnant until the Feds decide to cut rates. Because in ETC's case, it's a pretty good hedge against inflation, right? Because it has a fixed amount of coins that could be dispersed. So essentially, it's a good hedge against inflation, but not interest rates. So once interest rates start to come down, then this is where ETC probably can outperform a lot of other similar coins because it is very heavily shorted. So I'm going to talk all about that in a second. And plus I'm going to play a video near the tail end, only a minute of this, but this kind of talks on when some analysts are assuming that the rates will actually start to be cut, because especially with PCE numbers coming out on Friday, relatively good. Now analysts can kind of take that information and try to project what is coming next. But aside from that though, I always like to bring up liquidations, talk on who is essentially selling, kind of shows what is happening behind the scenes. So ETC ran up pretty significantly, even on a percentage basis within this kind of criteria right here, did outperform even Bitcoin. And that was just because of ETC being very much heavily shorted, like I mentioned. So during the peak, roughly about $5.03 million in shorts were closing out their positions, even the following day on January 11th. As of late, it looks like it's been more so the longs that's been closing out some of their positions, and that's just corresponding with more and more fear on a larger scale. So that's kind of what's been pulling ETC down. But as of late though, it's been more so the shorts that have been selling, or I guess liquidating their positions. So that might be giving a nice upward trend for ETC. So that again is something to consider. Right now with it at $24.31, it is trading between this R1 and this R2 on the fib levels. So 23.85 is going to be the next strong support, and it kind kind of bounced off of that. So 23.91 is in that general area. So that's going to be something for you to kind of watch for in the next couple days for it to hold. So 23.85, then vice versa, $25.34. And it is just a matter of time, right? Once it breaks past this R2, then it'll easily be able to trade between this R2 and this R3, gaining more and more momentum, and then past this 27.74. And like I said, I just want to do some technical analysis, but I'm just going to quickly play this 1 minute of this before I get into the technicals. And this video is going to be more so on when analysts are assuming that the rates are going to be happening and
Take
cut.
me through what these numbers tell you and what they imply about what the Fed might do and or say next week.
Well, the Fed has got to be really happy with these numbers. They're just stunningly good. And the cooling of inflation through productivity growth, you just couldn't get it a better way. There's almost a tinge of the 1990s boom in here, and I think the Fed's got to be feeling pretty good about itself. That said, it still has sort of put itself in this position where it's not ready to cut rates in March, but I think by the time they're going to start discussing rate cuts in earnest at the January meeting, and then the debate's going to get really heated in March to have that May cut instead of waiting until June. This is, you know, at the same time, we have some people rotating into voting positions who've already sort of staked themselves out as wanting later rate cuts out there. And I think that's what the navigation is going to be. But it's going to be hard for Chair Powell to contain his enthusiasm at the press conference once again.
And so ultimately, in my opinion, I do feel that cryptocurrency is going to be in a long-standing consolidation stage. And so what that does mean is just going to kind of not really have all-time highs. It's not going to have all-time lows. It's just going to trade within range up until this point. Until the Feds do cut interest rates, then the broader market and people's appetite for risk is going to completely explode. And this is where ETC could really stand to benefit. That's just my own opinion, of course. But moving quickly on to some technicals. So I'm looking at the one-day chart. I have the 7, 25, and 100-day moving averages, Bollinger Band, stochastic RSI, and momentum. So right now, looking on here, you can tell just basically it does want to break out. It is in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, above the 7-day moving average. Stochastic RSI, you see the start of a nice uptrend. So purple line above the teal, and momentum shows number of retail, or I guess number of investors are getting in. So this looks very much primed and ready for a nice breakout. And of course, you have to always look at the 4-hour that feeds into the 1 day and whatever else. So looking at the 4-hour, this is where you are seeing the consolidation before the nice burst out. So stochastic RSI is very overdone, so that does need to cool off a little bit. And momentum shows number of buyers have been slowly getting in. So you haven't seen those big massive spikes, those influx of, I guess, capital causing shorts to return and for ETC's price to go up. So it's nice and natural. This is actually what I prefer rather than going back over here. I much prefer to see a nice uptrend in the price rather than this right here. But then again, maybe I'm boring, I have no idea. But because this does have a lot of good support levels by doing so. Nice steady step laddered approach, whereas this very quick uptrend, 9 times out of 10, unless it's not really unless it's fully justified, it will trend down. So overall, I feel like things are setting up for a nice big strong recovery. Again, like I said, I don't anticipate any all-time highs being created or any all-time lows, at least within the next month or so, unless there's some other external circumstance that does happen that causes people's appetite for risk to go up or potentially a short squeeze. But I feel like in general, ETC is the place to go. And I still do have my position, like I've said time and time again, $44 is my average. So I am at a little bit of a loss. I probably should have averaged down when it did get substantially low to around the $15 range, because I have been giving, I think usually every week or every 2 weeks, I do a ETC video where I go over some of the technicals and whatever else. And oddly enough, if you kind of look back, I am very, very accurate. And I did a video right here, and I even said that I can get to probably around the, I think I said $29 to $30 range. Went to 32, so a little bit higher than my anticipation, but that's what I love about ETC, because if you take away and scrub all the crap away from an emotion in investing, just look at the chart. It is pretty easy to tell on exactly where it might be going. Of course, in this case, I hope I am completely wrong and it does create an all-time high before the Feds cut any rates. But then again, it is what it is. Patience is key for crypto and investing in crypto. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo as I've shared with you in the past. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals in the market. Take advantage of this while you can. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.